Hi, how are you?
Hi
Nice to
there.
see you. My
Nice to
name
see
is
you too.
Dr. C, and I'm calling from the United States from the state of Virginia. Is your name Vlad?
Vladimir, yes, I'm Bulgarian, but I live in Japan.
Okay, so you're from Bulgaria.
Yes, and the reason I'm here on this platform is because I'm a language teacher myself.
Oh,
And I'd like to talk with my fellow teachers on the topic of teaching.
okay. And what language do you teach?
English primarily.
Okay,
I've prepared a list with some questions and statements, and I would like to hear your thoughts. Is that okay?
that's fine. Yeah.
How long have you been teaching English for?
I taught at a university. I've taught at many universities, and I was a professor in the area of literacy. So I taught master's level teachers how to teach English reading, writing, listening, speaking, and viewing to their students. And I was in the teaching within the clinic and to individuals and small groups, and doing the teaching as a professor for almost 20 years.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And you also have a PhD in, what was it, reading, language, and
Reading, language, and cognition. That's
cognition, yes.
correct.
So my first
Mhm.
question is, what is the role of a teacher, language teacher or any teacher, when we talk about adults?
Okay, when you're talking about adults, it depends on whether or not you're talking about adults within a university setting, adults within a clinic setting.
No, not clinic, just adults, yes. Not clinical setting, yes. Just
Okay,
teaching adults, whether it's in a university or Cambly,
okay.
or, yeah,
Well,
or even teaching teachers how to teach.
okay. So we state. So now that we know it's university, it can be on something like Cambly. Restate your question one more time, please.
Okay. Oh, so you think there is a difference?
There can be a difference.
There
Yeah.
can be a difference. Is it because of the online and offline setting, or
Okay. Restate your question. If you,
what's the role of a language teacher when we talk about adults?
can you just tell me before I answer the question, how long have you been teaching?
12 years.
12 years. Very good. Very good.
It's going to be a different answer depending on who you speak with. For me, when I look at teaching adults, teaching a language to an adult population, whether it's one-on-one or small group or whole class, I always want to know what it is that my students need. Each person needs something different, even if it's whole class. And that becomes apparent if at the university level, when I was teaching the students who were pursuing their master's degrees, I found that each student, even in a large class, really needed something different. Each student was, even though they were in the class and they were pursuing a master's degree in teaching, and that was something that they needed professionally, they also had different questions and different ideas that they needed to talk about and to resolve, so that what I was teaching in class made more sense to them.
Okay, so
So
it depends on the person. I
it
see.
really depends on the
Okay.
person.
And each student that I work with, even if it's one-on-one, it's something that I always ask them, what is it that you are looking for?
Okay.
Why are you here? What can I do to help you? Because I found out, I'll give you an example. I had been teaching for many years, and the first night of class for students.
Sorry to interrupt. Let me just read something back to you.
Sure, go ahead.
The role of the teacher is to teach the student how to learn alone, without a teacher, how to become an independent learner. What do you think about that?
That can be one of the roles of a teacher, but
Isn't that the biggest role?
not necessarily so, because there are many people who are not independent learners. All right. There are many people.
Adults. That's why I said adults, because
Yeah.
I mean,
No. And I'm talking about adults. There are many adults who are not independent learners. They are at a point, everybody emotionally has a different background. And when you learn something, some adults, in order to feel comfortable learning, they want you to direct them. They want the teacher to direct them. If you're talking about independent learning, you're talking about a student-centered situation where the desire to learn is coming from the student themselves, and the desire to find the focus is coming from the student themselves.
that's why I said adults. With kids, it's a different story. I agree.
No. But many adults, believe it or not, depending on what kind of experience.
No, I know perfectly well. I know perfectly well. They're either forced to learn a language or, I know 12 years, it's a long enough time for me to know. But the thing is, they might as well do something else. But that's a different topic, yes. To me, what I found in my experience is to teach the person how to learn alone. Basically, teach them how not to pay me.
And that's a wonderful way of looking at it.
Which is kind of weird, because basically it's like shooting myself into...
Right.
Yes.
Right. No. But I understand what you're saying, and that's a wonderful goal to have. All I'm saying is I've taught for many, many years, and I've found that not all adults are independent learners.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I agree.
And
I agree.
That's what I'm saying. Not everybody emotionally is tuned to that.
Let me ask you about language, with your background, educational background in language. What is language, in your opinion, in a few words? I think you would agree that in order to figure out how to teach something, we need to know, we should be able to define that thing. So language, what is language in a few words, if you could?
The ability to be able to communicate thoughts to other people.
Communicate, when you say communicate, you mean speak.
Communicate, explain, understand, exchange information.
Exchange. But wouldn't you agree that communicate...
You don't have to say speak.
But wouldn't you agree that by communicate, even the dictionary says that communicate means speak, talk. I do understand that communicate means write also. But
no, that you're leaving something out. You have many people who are deaf and or who are mute, and they are not speaking, and they're using a different way to communicate.
Okay. But for most people, say on Cambly, vast majority of people on Cambly, communicate means speak. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, that's correct.
Not for most of them, all of them, I think. So my definition, if I may, is the exact opposite. Language is a tool for acquiring knowledge.
And I think that's part of it.
But it's the exact opposite, because communicate means give knowledge, give information.
Did you remember I said exchange?
No, I do understand, but again, for most people, I think probably you and I are in minority here. For most people, when people say language is a tool for communication, that's why they're here on Cambly for. They want to talk. For the vast majority of people, again, we're talking about 99.999% of people, communicate means speak, talk.
Okay.
I think you would agree with that. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Speak. Communicate. To communicate an idea doesn't mean to understand an idea. Means to...
It's all, and Vladimir, all of this is part of what we're talking about. Language, when you talk about language, it encompasses all of what you're saying. It's not you can't just say, well, language is just this. Language is so much more.
To me, language is a tool for acquiring knowledge. That's all. It's as simple as that. Language is not for speaking. My point is that I think the word speak is the cause of all language, of all problems associated with language acquisition. People want to speak. They think of language as a tool for them to give information to other people. And it's not that, as far as I'm concerned, of course. What do you think about that? Would you agree or?
I think you're saying that language
is a tool for acquiring knowledge, for getting information. And I think Cambly is not the place to get information. In my case, actually is, because I'm here talking with you, an expert. So I need your knowledge, your experience,
Okay.
and your knowledge. But I'm 100% sure that most people are here to practice speaking. Practice speaking, this is something I could never understand. There's no such thing as practice speaking. But I think it's a different topic. Language is a tool for acquiring knowledge. Please, what do you think about that definition?
I think part of that is true. When we speak, we are acquiring knowledge.
When we speak, we are acquiring knowledge?
When we speak with each other, different conversations. For instance, when I have different students on Cambly. When I speak with them and we might have a conversation, it's not just speaking with them, okay? It's an exchange of information, an exchange of information that I have and that they have. So that in exchanging information.
Most people are not here for getting information. They're here to practice their speaking. It's actually how Cambly hires teachers get paid to chat with people from around the world.
But when I speak with students, that's not what I do.
But again, we're talking about exceptions. Exception. I think you would agree. Exceptions. How many people are here to get information, get knowledge, honestly?
A lot of my students are here to get knowledge because they have different goals.
Grammar and vocabulary. What do you mean by knowledge? Grammar and vocabulary?
It's not just that. It's ideas. When I speak with a student, depending on what their goal is, when I ask them, why are you here? Oftentimes they'll tell me, well, eventually I think I might want to go abroad to study. And so in that conversation, I might give them information about how to go about that, what kind of road to take, where to look, where if they want to go to Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia.
I understand.
I will chat with them, talk with them, speak with them.
Would you? Yeah, I understand.
To help them to actually attain that goal.
Would you pay money to have a conversation with a stranger, with a foreigner?
Probably not.
Not. Would a native speaker of English pay money to have a conversation with you?
It depends on what they want. All right.
To have a conversation, yes.
No. In the conversation, for instance, you are not a native speaker, but you speak English very well. You have come to me because you have certain things that you want to do.
Want to get from you. Want to get from you. Yes. But this is not a conversation. This is not what we call chat. I'm not here to practice my English.
Right. And what I can tell you is this. Many of my conversations with students are not chats. They are actually conversations to figure out.
One in a million. 1 in a million. Trust me.
That's not what. That is not 1 in a million. I would say out of the students that I speak with, honestly, I would say 75 to 80% need some guidance in some way or other, some kind of technique and or some strategy.
And that's what Cambly is for. That's the first thing that comes to mind when people want guidance.
What Cambly is for. But the students who come to me, that's what they.
Second person who thinks that people are on Cambly to get knowledge. She believed it. She believes it, yeah. The stories we tell ourselves. Yeah. Anyway. Everything you need to know about how to learn Everything you need to know about how to learn a foreign language you can find in my book, Virtually Native, which is available on Amazon and virtuallynative.com. You have one life. Don't waste it.